Hello, everybody. Come on in. Welcome to another episode today. We are so excited that you're with us, and I want you to take a minute and hit the heart button, hit the like button, the love button, comment down below, and let us know where you're watching this show from today. We are so excited to have you here. Like I said, my name is Jessica Dugas. I'm an intuitive mentor and energy healer, and of course, the host of The Breakthrough. It's the spiritual view for your soul and mind, where we dig deep on today's spiritual hot topics and inspire you with stories that change our lives. So I'm really excited to have my friend Liz Wilkins on the show today. Liz is a little bit different than our other guests that we've had on The Breakthrough. Many people that we have on the show they work in sort of that spiritual realm. They're coaches, they're healers, energy healers, things like that. And so I'm really excited to have Liz on the show today because Liz is in marketing. Liz doesn't work in the same space that a lot of our guests do, but her spiritual journey has been so significant in her own life and learning how to flow and connect with spirit in the way that feels right and authentic to her. And so I think that so many people are going to benefit from hearing Liz's story today. And I'm excited to have her on the show to share this space with us as well. I want to say a quick hello to everybody that's watching. Hi, Siri. Hi, Pam. Good to see you guys. Liz is going to be joining us in just a few minutes. Hi, Lou. Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Maria. Hi, Heather, who's in the green room. Really glad to have all of you guys on the show with us today. But first, before we have Liz come on, we have to talk hot topics, which means it's time to welcome our panelists on the show today. So up first, we have one of our Canadian friends, our declutter coach and consultant, helping us to be more organized during our breakthrough moments. Everybody, please hit the heart button for our friend, Heather Clark, today on the show. Hi, Heather. Heather's
Happy Good Friday, everyone.
Oh, did you tell them you had to do the show now? They had to leave?
Exactly.
Just tell them. Don't you know who I am, people?
That's exactly it, yes.
That's what she said. So it's Easter weekend, right? You guys have any big plans this weekend?
I'm just going to my girlfriend's place on Sunday and doing like a big hunt with all the 4 kids and stuff like that and everything like that, because with her it's been many times where we're actually saying like this is our 4th or 5th time seeing each other in 2019, which one time about 3-4 years ago we saw each other once in the entire year. So we're like, oh my goodness, we're like, this is a new record in the past 5 years. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
We need to change that. I felt that too lately. Like I just really need to connect further with people. I think relationships has been a big theme this year, and it's a big theme for the full moon coming up this today for sure. So I'm glad that we're working on that. We're making our relationships better. All right, guys. Up next on the show, we have our relationship specialist. She helps us to bring more passion and love into our lives. Everybody, please welcome relationship specialist Lori Ann Davis to the show today. Hello, Lori.
Hi.
Glad to have you back on and that you're feeling better this week.
Yes.
Yay.
Me too. Thanks.
Do you have any big plans for Easter this weekend?
No, not really. My older daughter's going to come over tomorrow. Actually, we're going to do Easter brunch with her on Saturday. The little girls go with their dad on Sunday, and I get some me time, some downtime with my hubby. So that's always Sunday afternoons are like one of my favorites.
That'll be good too, because you guys just had an anniversary recently, right?
A few months ago.
Yeah.
We're still floating it. We're still waiting to try to find time to get away.
Hey, that's what you have to just fit it in where you can, right?
Yep, little bits and bits and pieces.
Awesome. All right, guys. So we're going to jump into our hot topic today, which I think is a really good one. So I found this quote, and some of you guys might have seen it post on the Breakthrough Show today. As we're talking about this hot topic, I want all of you guys to comment below and let us know your thoughts on it. So this particular quote is from Brooke Hampton, and it's about sleep. And I take this a little personally right now because I love my sleep at the moment, but I'm going to read to you what this quote says. It says, "No, we don't need more sleep. It's our souls that are tired, not our bodies. We need nature. We need magic. We need adventure. We need freedom. We need truth. We need stillness. We don't need more sleep. We need to wake up and live." So because I took this so personally, I want to hear from you guys about how that quote resonates with you before I go on my little rampage about it. Heather, what do you think about this? You don't need sleep.
Oh, no, I do. I'm sorry, I do. Listen, my soul needs sleep, and so does the world. The world needs me to have sleep because I'm not. Next to being hangry, I'm not very pretty without my sleep. So, but yeah, no, I do understand the whole needing to go out in nature and all that stuff because of the fact that, you know, especially with anyone who's experienced winter just the past months, you know, we haven't been out in nature very often because it was too darn cold up here in Canada. And so, yeah, so now it's like getting out into nature more and stuff. And I do find myself different and not maybe needing that sleep as much, but just enjoying that a lot more because I'm like, okay, now I feel rested because I've been outside, I've had that fresh air, I've done my stuff, I've played, you know, the kids are outside more and stuff. So, but I still do need my sleep. I'm just going to point that out. Still
today. I feel that today. What about you, Lori? What do you think about this quote?
So I guess except for the times when you've really missed sleep and you need to catch up because you've missed it, I do agree with it. And I have a really quick little story that I think illustrates it really well. When my children were young, none of them slept well until they were 2 and finished teething. And, you know, and I nursed on demand. So I was nursing them every 2 hours, you know, way past infancy. And the first time around, I used to think, oh, I didn't get enough sleep. And I was always tired. The second and third one came around and I didn't have time for that. And I just decided that I wasn't tired, that I could wake up every 2 hours, take care of my babies and still take care of my older child and the rest of my life. And you know what? I wasn't tired. I had energy and I just enjoyed it. And it was that mindset of, no, I'm not going to let this ruin my life. I'm going to enjoy life. And I didn't get any more sleep with the second and third baby. Actually, I probably got even less because I had more to do than with the first one. And I had more energy. And on top of that, I was in my 40s. So I was older with both of them. And I had energy galore. So I think that represents what he's trying to say, kind of in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get that. And I agree very much with what one of our past guests from last year, Genevieve, is in the comments right now, and she's saying we need it all. I personally need 6 to 7 hours of sleep a night. Others' opinions on the subject are just that; they're others' opinions, and I think that why the quote hit me so hard is because I'm in a space right now with doing so much physical healing with my body where I need that sleep.
Yes, you have certain circumstances, right? So under those circumstances, that sleep is really important. If you've been up all night with a sick child or something, you need sleep the next day.
Right.
I think it's talking about beyond that.
Right. And that's what I'm sort of getting to with how I felt about it is that for me, what I'm realizing and finding out in my own life is that because I have spent so many years not focused on those other things that this quote is talking about. So it's talking about the nature, the magic, adventure, the freedom, because I sort of have kept myself tethered in for so many years and not expressing myself, that has sort of manifested in desperately needing sleep, in desperately needing healing in my own body. And so I feel like that's what happens when we don't have that balance, when we don't do those things that make us feel alive and really live, when we keep ourselves held back and sort of tethered. Have you guys ever seen that in your own life, that when you can't just get out there and just be yourself no matter what, that it really weighs on you physically?
Oh, absolutely. Like, and it's a matter of, and that's when I find that I'm tired. Like I'm more exhausted than I am like wanting to actually go to bed kind of tired. Like it's more just like I need to like shake this off. I need to do something or whatever. And you feel that, and it's true. But I usually go to the sleep part of it because of the fact that it just resets. Like for me, it allows me to just reset and just be like, even if it's a nap, trust me, I love my naps. Like if there's anyone that loves her naps and wish she could have one every day, it's me. And I never used to be like that. But since, the past, let's say like year or two, I've definitely noticed the fact of, okay, let's reset. Let's figure out what this is. And the energy has just changed since I get my sleep.
Well, and we can talk about, I mean, we can bring this in for a second too. We've talked about astrology from time to time on this show. People that are earth signs, so we're talking about Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn, they typically, from what I, especially in my experience of working with people in different signs, will need a little bit more sleep. It's like that you are an earth sign, so you kind of crave that, you need that grounding, and you can get that grounding in sleep for sure. Like, just pass out, go to sleep. And I see it in my husband too. My husband's a Taurus, and he definitely, don't wake him up. I'm just, don't do that. And so, here's me, and I think that for me, like, looking at my own chart and how airy I am across the board, I never really took much appreciation for sleep. I always have been like that kid on Christmas. Every single day, I'm gonna miss something if I don't wake up, and now I'm like, I could miss it, it's okay. All right, I'll be all right. I'm just going to go to sleep for a little while. So I feel like I'm kind of making up for lost sleep lately. Have you ever felt that, Lori, where you felt like you needed sleep because, like, physical rest, because of not sort of enjoying life the way that you could?
Oh, definitely. I think that when we're drained emotionally, we need that quiet. And so for some of us fire signs, that quiet can come from, so for me, it's not always sleep, but it's crawling into bed with a book, or even watching a TV show, like something mindless. And I also notice when the seasons are different. So in winter, I don't like the cold. And even though I live where it's not very cold, Heather, I still don't like the cold. So I won't get out. So I'll find that it refreshes me, like you said, and it resets things to crawl in bed and to have that quiet time. Now, spring, summer, and fall are going to come, and I don't want to do that. I want to go be outside, and that's how I get reset. So there's a lot of layers to it, for sure.
Yeah, I love, everybody's chiming in the comments, and it really holds true to what Genevieve was saying, that we all need something different. And it really is about finding that balance between that life that we want to be living and rest, because ultimately, even if we're living the kind of life that we want to live, this body that we have houses that spirit and houses that soul, and rest is part of taking care of that house, and making sure that you're resting appropriately for you, whatever that looks like. So I want to give another quick shout out. I see Yolanda had come in to say hi. Genevieve, of course. Kathy is joining us. Bruiser's joining us. We have a lot of fun folks on with us today. So continue commenting down below as the show goes on, and we love to interact with you. But now we have to take a moment and welcome our guest today. Like I said, she doesn't work in the spiritual realm like many of our guests do, but we're super psyched to have her on. Liz Wilkins is joining us from the UK. She is a marketing professional, calls herself the chief marketing ninja. So we have to definitely hear more about that. So everybody, please push the heart button for our guest and our friend today, Liz Wilkins. Hello,
Hey,
Liz.
Jessica. Thank you so much for having me on.
We're so excited to have you here, and I know that this is different than other lives that you've done and other things that you've done on Facebook for your business, huh?
Yeah, I tend to hide behind my clients. So I'm delighted so many of my friends are actually watching this live, and I'm part terrified. But thank you. I can see you, Pam.
You're in good hands.
Pam's here, Sandra's here. I think I saw Anne, and I think I also saw Emma. So thanks, ladies, for coming along. And
We are so excited that we've got lots of new faces watching the show today, and we're thrilled, of course, that you come to check out your friend Liz, because she's going to do amazing today. She just doesn't maybe know it yet, but she's going to do awesome. So like I said, we're excited to have you on, and I'd love for you to take a minute and chime in on our hot topic today. How do you feel about sleep and that whole thing?
Well, do you know what? I'm so pleased you mentioned earth signs, because I'm actually a Capricorn, and I need my sleep, full stop, the end. I'm like a toddler. If I do not have enough sleep, I'm literally stomping my feet, and I'm like, all day. I need a really good 8 hours sleep. Even if I go to bed really late, but even when I go to bed late, I need lots of sleep. But I do think there's something in there that sometimes my experience is that I don't often realize when I'm kind of spiritually tired and my soul's tired. And it's easier to try and address the physical than it is the kind of spiritual and emotional part of you. So I love the fact that she talks, it's a woman, isn't it, that she talks in that quote about adventure and magic. And I love the bit at the end where she talks about waking up and living, because I spent so many years asleep in my whilst awake. So I love the quote. I think it's a great quote. But rob me of my 8 hours, not a happy person.
And see, I so see that with everybody, literally everybody in my life that I know that is an earth sign, that, I mean, you just don't take their sleep. Like, just, you can't do that.
Oh no.
I love you, hubby. I know you're going to watch this. I just want you to know how much I love you right now. That my husband has a birthday coming up Monday, and I think he's feeling the need for sleep even more lately. So anyway, we're, like I said, we're so excited to have you on today. And when we talked about you coming on the show, the one thing that we wanted to really talk to you about was sort of this journey of finding spirituality in your own life. And before we came on the show today, I mentioned to the ladies that it's also my grandfather's birthday is today, and he passed away in 2010. And while he didn't work in the spiritual realm either, I felt like him and my grandmother both had their own such profound spiritual experiences and awakenings and their own sort of things that spiritual journey, if you will, that they went on. And so I would love for you to start out and share with us sort of how things were for you early on in your life. Did you grow up in a spiritual family? Like, tell us a little bit about, what things like for you early on.
Well, I really hope to goodness, to God, that my mother isn't watching this. And if you are, Mum, I love you, and this is no reflection on you. My dad's passed away, so if he's watching, yeah, sorry, Dad. So my dad, it's interesting. My dad always said he was Church of England, but he never actually stepped into any churches and practiced. Whereas my mum did. She went through lots of churches, and she's now really happy in her spiritual home of the Salvation Army locally. So as a child, I went to Sunday school and did all the things that you do on Sundays at Sunday school until I became a teenager. And then I was like, I think I got to 12, and I'm like, I'm not going anymore, thanks. And you can't make me. Go on, Mum, try. And because I needed my sleep, because I was coming up to those teenage years, hello, Capricorn, I kind of put my foot down and didn't go to church. And then when I was about 15, I joined through a girlfriend. I went to her Baptist church, and it was really like, wow, amazing. Everyone, it was happy clappy, as my dad would have said. There were hands in the air, they were speaking in tongues. But the vibe in the place was it was just beautiful. And it was really energizing and energetic. And it was unlike church I'd ever known. And I went to, we have a big, it's like, I don't know what, it's a festival for teenagers and young people called Green Belt that I went to that particular year of my life. I absolutely loved it. And I had a spiritual awakening then, and it was phenomenal. But shortly after, about 6 to 9 months afterwards, when I was about 15, one of our family friends, their son, who was 9 months older than me, died of a brain hemorrhage. And at that moment, I fell out of love with God, because I couldn't believe how he could take this beautiful young lad who I actually secretly had a crush on. He was just phenomenal. And my last conversation with this young lad, who's called Paul, was about this weekend that I'd had at the Greenbelt Festival, where I'd had this like, oh my God, God's amazing. He's just great. Oh my God, you've got to get to know him. And, I was so evangelical about God and church and love and, you know, spirituality and all of that. And then to you know, the next, and then to lose him, kind of, it felt like that, you know, that was my last conversation with him. And then to have lost him, I felt God was really unkind and really unfair. And because I have a very childlike, or I had a very childlike relationship with God, I was really angry with him. And I kind of pushed him away, and I was like, I'm not having anything to do with you. Thank you very much indeed. You're dead to me. I'm going to move on with my life. And I did quite move on with my life for a long, long time.
That must have been such a profound experience for you in such a short period of time, to really have this moment where you felt so connected to God, and then have it taken away. And I can very much relate to that feeling, because it was when my brother passed away when he was 24 that I really, my whole look on my life changed, but also my spiritual journey changed, and my relationship with God, and everything that I sort of knew growing up in the church just changed. It became very, very different for me. So when you had that experience, how much time had passed until you really started to look at your spirituality again? Like, how much time went by that you just kind of were like, I'm done with this, I'm doing my own thing?
Oh, almost 20 years. Yeah. I was really, really, really angry. Really angry. So I did what any good girl does. I listened to my dad, and I worked as hard as I could at school. I did quite well. I went off to university, and I worked really hard up the corporate ladder to earn as much money as possible so that I would have a good retirement, because that was my dad's, you know, of his generation. That was the kind of expectation. So I became a very good girl and worked extremely hard to make money. So when I was 23, I was in sales at the time and had a really phenomenal month. And I remember phoning my dad up, bragging about how much money I'd made in that particular month. And my paycheck was more than my dad. And he was a very successful engineer. And I walked into the Armani store in Covent Garden in London and bought myself, it was the 90s after all, a little black suit, you know, the black Armani jacket, skirt, because hello, I was young, thin, all that good stuff, arrogant. And at that moment, I thought I'd made it. And it was a kind of like, up yours, God, I don't need you, because look where I can get without you in my life. And I continued like that for very many years.
So I have a question. When you, like, it seems like obviously you lost your trust in God and stuff like that. When did you start to gain that trust back? Like, what actually sparked you to go, okay, I think I can trust somebody bigger than me, something bigger than me, whether it's God, the universe, however you thought at the time and stuff like that. When did you, what was the leaning towards that, being able to trust? Because obviously the trust was broken when you were 15. Yeah,
I'd love to say it was quick and it was easy. And actually in some regards it was quick. It wasn't easy. I woke up one October day. I'd been institutionalized in a psychiatric hospital, and I'm a smoker. So I was outside, it was 6 a.m, unusual for me because I didn't normally get up early. And at 6 a.m, I was outside having a cigarette in the smoking shelter. And I realized that the world still revolved and the sun still came up and it was autumn and that the leaves were falling off the tree and it had nothing to do with me. And I was, how old was I? Gosh, this is 5.5 years ago. So I was what, 41. And it was at that point, that was my big kind of breakthrough, because I'd hit my rock bottom. I was emotionally distraught. I was physically broken. I was spiritually broken. And you know, all of my best efforts had led to me being in that psychiatric hospital. And actually it was looking back, and at the time I felt relief and I felt joy, because, you know, I didn't have to run the show anymore. It wasn't about me anymore, because my best efforts got me to that place. You know, my best efforts had, you know, led me. When my son was born, I went to another church. I went back to church because I wanted him to have Sunday school. And I love the vibe of churches. And I found a church I wasn't comfortable in. I did the Alpha course. I don't know if you have that in North America. It's basically finding your way to God course in 6 weeks, and lots of churches do it over here. So I did the Alpha course, but I could never get past that point. In that course, I couldn't get past that point of how can God love people and still let them die? Because it took me back to being 15 years old, and that scared girl whose heart had been broken and had seen the impact of Paul's death on his family. I couldn't get past that point. But when I was in that psychiatric hospital, I had nowhere else to go. You know, people didn't want to be around me. I didn't want to be around anybody. And I thought the world would be a better place without me in it. So to wake up that cold, well, it was actually quite sunny that October morning, and have that kind of realization shifted something inside of me, and it kind of made me open to the fact that it's going to be okay. And there was a chink of hope that kind of allowed me to find my way back to the God of my understanding.
I love that. So talk to us a little bit about once you had that understanding that there had to be something else out there, and what are some of the things that you did to kind of start adding that spiritual connection back into your life?
Okay, so the first thing I did is, because of my mental state at the time, I was so used to focusing on the things I didn't have. My dad had passed away 9 months earlier, and his loss hit me terribly. And I was so focused on the negative and all of the things I didn't have in my life, I couldn't see any positives. So I was taught that I needed to write down 10 things that I'm grateful for every single day. Come rain, come shine, whether I've had a good night's sleep, a bad night's sleep, whether my child is being delightful or a little terror, whether my husband's being delightful or not. I had to write down 10 things I'm grateful for. And that focus on gratitude helped to shift me from that negative energy that I'd been living in for so long.
It's funny because that's actually something like, so anytime I have the kids and stuff like that, that's one thing that I always say is, okay, 3 things you're grateful for today. Because no matter what, like whether we're in a crap mood, like all of us, we just, fought because, oh my God, why are you guys taking so long to, get your lunches ready? Or not. Like, I'm like, okay, the car ride, and I always do it in our car rides. Yeah. On the way to school, I'm like, okay, 3 things we're grateful for, and they cannot be repetitive from the time before. So we always we started writing them down just to see what they were, whatever, but it changes their mood, because I don't want them to start their day, in a crap mood. I don't want to start my day in a crap mood. So at least if we all that's 3, 6, 9, that's 9 things that we can be grateful for that day. And yeah, that is amazing that that's one of the things that you found, when you were at the rock bottom, that you're like, you know what, let's do it. Let's figure this out. Now, of course, I'm sure it probably was hard as anything, especially when you looked at the negative, because I know years ago, that's all I would have done. But it's amazing because I know how far you've come and how amazing you are and how you could see it in other people, but to be able to see it in your own life must have been uplifting for sure. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. And it's, and I didn't just write, I wrote it every night, but I would reread it the next morning, because I don't know about you. Hello, I'm a Capricorn. I like my sleep. I can go to bed in one state of mind and wake up on a completely different planet. And it's like the joy, if I ended the day joyfully, it could have left me overnight and it would be it'd be the worst day in the world when I woke up. So actually rereading that gratitude list of a morning would kind of take me back to that place that I'd been the night before. And I'd invariably forgotten some of the circumstances, and I just literally focused on the great things that I had in my life. So I'd always start my day reading those 10 things and kind of set myself up. The other thing that I did, and that I do, and I do it slightly differently now, is I started to pray. And we were saying in the green room earlier, weren't we, that, you know, I have a very childlike relationship with the God of my understanding. I'm by no means a spiritual guru. I'm certainly no expert on the Bible, but I've been fortunate enough to, you know, the God of my understanding is very loving, is very kind, is very tolerant, and for me it's a father-like figure, because my father was a phenomenal man and I loved him dearly. So I don't have any issues with the father role model, like, so I know lots of women and men do. So I would just start having conversations, and there were so many great prayers out there. I mean, my God, there were so many great prayers. You know, the Lord's Prayer, I memorized that as a child because my mum had a little plate with it on. So I think when I was 7, I memorized it. And I got some go-to prayers that I learnt off rote, like I learnt that the Lord's Prayer when I was a child, and those gave me comfort. And I was very regimented with, there were 2 specific prayers that I would pray, and I would just say them. And going on at this point, I was still working in corporate, so it, you know, if I forgot to say it in the car, I would, you know, when I got to the office in the car park, I would sit in the car and say the prayers. But my go-to prayer, which has got me out of all sorts of trouble, because I don't know about you, I can't pray in the morning and then I'm kind of fixed for the day. It's not like, you know, it's like putting makeup on. I can put my makeup on, but I need to touch myself up during the day. You know, maybe a bit of powder so I'm not so shiny, a bit of lippy. And to do that, I use the Serenity Prayer, because my problem is when I'm in charge. And, you know, because of my history of wanting to dominate. So the Serenity Prayer is a great prayer for me to remember what I can, you know, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I love the fact that it starts with, God grant me the serenity, because what that means is I can't accept anything unless I am calm. I can't change anything unless I am calm. So it's the prayer that I use all the time to just try and re-ground me. As an earth sign, I need grounding a lot, because I can boom off into the sky and, you know, these fantastical ideas. So it's a great go-to prayer for me that just grounds me.
I would love to ask you a little bit about, I love that you use the phrase, the God of your understanding. And that's something that even when you put in your application for the show, that was the words you used on the application as well. And the reason I love that so much is because on this show, I really feel like we all come from such different faith backgrounds, and there are so many people who have these very similar to when you had sort of your evangelical moment as a teenager, and all of a sudden everything's about, I mean, exactly what you know. And we can almost, when we get into this space of realizing what our faith means to us, it's very easy for us to put blinders on and think that that's the only way to be, that's the only way to go, that's how I know it is the only way that is the true way, etc. And how do you sort of navigate your own spiritual journey while keeping an open mind for the understanding that everybody sort of has their own spirituality or differences about that?
Quite honestly, anybody else's spiritual journey, their relationship with their God, is none of my goddamn business. It isn't. It's none of my business. You know, and one of the things I've had to learn is I've had to learn to mind my own business and stay on my side of the street and stay in my lane and keep my side of the street clean and not focus on other people. Now, also, because I have a childlike, because I stopped Sunday school age 12, you know, I have a very childlike and knowledge of religion. And spirituality. very childlike. In fact, my son went to a Church of England school, and where they have a focus on learning about different faiths. He knows more about other faiths than I do, and he's 14 because he's been educated. I don't care who your God is. I don't care what your God is. I don't care what if it's you know, if you name it, if you don't name it, if it comes associated with a religion or a church. I don't care. It's none of my business. Now, you know, I've been I work with the Salvation Army on I have been working with the Salvation Army on a Friday night at a community outreach program, which I absolutely adore, with young people. And one of the things I love it because I'm with other Salvationists. So when the kids aren't there and they're not messing about and they're out in the skate park, I'm always asking questions about their faith and about Jesus in particular. And I've had some amazing conversations with the men and women that I volunteer with about their relationship with Jesus and how they believe that. And again, if you're watching, apologies if I've completely misunderstood this, Anne and Sandra, but that it's about their relationship to God is through Jesus, because of the three, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, all that. I'm not gonna. Don't even ask me any more than that. My son, Charlie, where are you?
We're going to church. We're going to Sunday school with Liz today.
No, yeah. Oh, I should have been. I should go on Sunday for sure. But I didn't find the relationship with my God through Jesus today. I did when I was 15, but I found my relationship with God because I had nowhere else to go. And someone said to me, you can come up with your own version of God. And that suits me down to the ground because I think I'm very special and different and I need my own version. So it plays to my ego a bit. So yeah, does that answer your question?
It does. And let me just say, all of you guys that are watching today, and I mean, your comments are on point. If I wish I could go through and just like read them all, and I will later. I will read them all later. But I wish I could go through and read every single one off right now because there's, like I said, there's so many people. I mean, it seems like it should be really easy to go, this is my understanding, someone else's is theirs. But that is not the easiest thing for people to do, especially when we get so convicted about our own personal beliefs and what we're doing. It can be difficult to have that open mind. And we were joking around before the show talking about, you were saying how you're not, a spiritual like goddess or anything like that, and you don't feel like that. But let me tell you something, that thought, that simply having an open mind is more awakened than so many other people because of how we put those blinders on and have a closed mind. So I'm giving you complete kudos right now because there's a lot of people that just cannot do that. They can't have that open mind and understanding that other people are different than them. God forbid, right? That we're all a different human being. So I just had to put that out there that I think you're way beyond even what
you're more awake than other people are asleep.
And didn't we talked about that on the show last year? Didn't we talk about being awake versus asleep? That was a throwback right there. I'm gonna have to post that for Throwback Thursday too.
Yeah, so one of the things someone said to me once, that how, because I would always say, well, how do you get this relationship with God then? How do you do it? And they would say, well, you just, it's honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. How? H-O-W. And, I had to get really honest. I had to be incredibly open-minded because of my past experience. And I needed a bucket load of willingness to just have some faith, because I'd have lots of conversations. I have lots of conversations with people about faith and belief. Faith is jumping off the ledge and hoping someone's going to catch you. Belief is knowing that when you jump off the ledge, someone is going to catch you. I've had to have an awful lot of faith that if I jump off the ledge, I'm going to be okay and I'm going to be caught. And that's, you know, that's for someone that's been, you know, I was brought up to believe that I could achieve, you know, I'm Generation X, well, not Generation X, and yeah, I am Gen X. I'm Generation X. I've been brought up to believe that anything is possible if you work hard enough. Which is, and actually, I had to stop working and stop fighting to actually try and build that relationship with my God. And it was only at the point of surrender was I able to even start to build that relationship.
That makes so much sense. And I would love to finish off our conversation today by you, because what I was going to ask is how your sort of spiritual journey, even though you don't work in the spiritual realm in the way that other guests on the show have, how does your spirituality and your spiritual journey tie into your work? And what the hell is a chief marketing ninja anyway? Can you just share a little bit about that?
Oh, can I just give a shout out to Sandra, because she's just said I'm amazing. I love you right back, darling. And Sandra is the lady that set up the youth cafe that I've worked with locally. And she keeps saying to me, because I would always say, well, this isn't church. And she would say, yes, this is church. So Sandra has got me into church. It's just not church actually in a church. It's church in a cafe on a recreation ground. So I'm a chief marketing ninja. I know it's because I wanted to hide. You know, the truth is I'm an award-winning sales and marketing expert. I've got 20-year track record of achieving massive growth through creative marketing campaigns. That's the truth. But because I burnt out in corporate, I wanted to kind of let go of that part of me, and I wanted to play really small. So the truth is that I basically nurture, guide, and help female entrepreneurs who are like me, who are Gen X, to monetize their skills and to turn their ideas into reality.
I love that.
But you did ask.
Very ninja-like.
It is. Well, also, you asked me how I kind of do spirituality with my clients.
Yeah.
So I don't talk about this online because I don't actually talk about myself online at all. I talk about other people. But when I talk with my clients, I'm not shy about saying, should we just have a moment and just ask God what he thinks? I just need, and I'll say I need to say a prayer if I'm on a Zoom with them. And Emma was on the call earlier. Emma's one of my clients. I have the Universe Has Your Back cards, because apparently some new cards are coming to me, aren't they, Jessica?
They are. They're not Universe Has Your Back, but you know.
No, but what are your cards? Tell us about your cards.
Colors of the Moon. Colors of the Moon.
And it's us international people. So Liz and I, who are international, non-US people, have to wait while we see everyone else get theirs. Yeah, see?
Lori's showing it off.
So in the absence of your cards, when I'm with my clients, I actually say, should we ask the universe what to help to guide us? I will actually we pull cards, and we take a moment, and I pull a card. I say, right, think of what you need help with or whatever, and I pull a card. And you know, I pulled a card before we did this. I said my prayers, as I said I would, because I was a bit terrified. And guess what the universe sent to me? I choose love no matter what. Which is, you know, you can't lose at life if you choose love, can you?
Yeah. And there was nothing to be afraid of. We don't bite hard.
How you added that hard part at the end.
You're doing so well.
That's awesome. Just gonna say, I love that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I'm just like, I've known you for a little while, Liz, and obviously I know a little bit about what you do, and then I hang out with Liz sometimes a couple times a week in Heather's community, and I just love everything about you. But I'm gonna second what someone in the comments said a few moments ago, and that's that you're amazing at what you do, but you're amazing at who you are. And I just, like, I second that, because I just think
Who said that?
That was Emma.
That was Emma.
So I
Oh.
just because listen, I see this all the time. I'm
It was
so
Tina.
in a
Was it Tina?
space of gratitude for the circles that we all have created, especially through this show, and through our communities on Facebook, because I have never in my whole life felt so loved and so accepted and so like if I jump, I know I'm going to be caught like that. Like it's not, that's not just my relationship with spirit, but also, my relationship with you guys, and just I love that I've gotten to know you that one level further today, Liz, because I think you're amazing, and you're so much like even further along than you even realize. Like you're doing amazing things, and I'm so thankful that you're on the show today.
Oh, God bless you. Thank you.
All
I-
right, Liz.
Can I also point out though, hello, because
Yes.
this is about being honest.
Yes.
I also have I get depression, and my moods are very roller coastery, and I've had clinical depression a lot in my life. And being an online entrepreneur is tough. This is a real, working for yourself is very different to working for a corporate. And I've spent all my career in corporate. Being your own boss is really hard. And one of the things I failed at, and I'm saying this to out myself, is that I can talk a really good talk when it comes to spirituality, but when, how am I bringing God into my business?
Mm.
And the fact of the matter is I wasn't bringing God into my business. And guess what? When I don't bring God into my business, it all goes, as we would say in the UK, Pete Tong, which means wrong. And one of the things I've had to do very recently is kind of go back to who am I? What do I care about? What are the values that are really important to me? And how do I want my business to move forward? And who am I hanging out with? Where am I spending my time? Where am I expending my energy? And I've had to make some really difficult decisions about making some changes, because I'm so good at people pleasing and making sure everyone else is okay that I forget about myself. So I've had to kind of take a step back and refocus on what I need, what my family needs, and find a way forward from that point. Because I would love, you made a comment about faith. I don't have faith every single moment of every single day. It's tough. Life isn't always easy. But what I do know is that there are women that have got my back, and women that have come to that I know that have joined us today. I'd like to thank them because they've had my back. Jessica and Heather, I see you, as we said, virtually twice a week, and you've seen me in much less glamorous moments than this, trying to sort the shit out, literally. So, I'm really, really blessed by the people I have in my life, and that God has put in my path. And I believe that the women that are in my path are there for a reason, if not a season, if not a lifetime.
I love that. And I'm it's been a few episodes since I've cried, and I'm getting there today. I don't know what. It's the full moon, people. Give me a break. Okay, so thank you so much for being on the show today, Liz, and for sharing your truth and your journey with us. And I hope that you will pop in for a moment next season and give us an update on how you're doing, and if we didn't completely scare you off today, to come back and share with us.
It's been lovely, actually. If Jessica, for anyone who's watching, if Jessica invites you on, join. It's a fabulous experience. What a great time. Thank you.
Good. You're so welcome. And I would love for you to hang out in the green room for a few minutes while we finish up the show today. We'll see you soon, Liz. Thanks so much for joining us. All right. So ladies, listen, I love the last part of what Liz was talking about really, as she said, outing herself, but about it being a continual journey, and that faith is something that we have to, that it's not a 24/7, like once you have faith, you're done. And that's sort of like, if we're talking about the church sort of experience, that's sort of a lot of what my qualm has been with church and growing up in the church, is that it's this thought that like we're baptized and then we're good. It's like it has to be a continual, growth experience. And it touched me so much what she said, the last part about it being something we have to continually work at, and that she's human, and that that business is hard and life is hard sometimes, because that's the truth of it. And we had a little bit of talking about my cards that are coming out tomorrow. We did a pre-launch, and yesterday a mistake was found. And in this,
well, that's why we do pre-launches, right?
That's why we do pre-launches. But we were talking about so I was, of course, started going down. It's really easy in those moments when something's going wrong to go down that rabbit hole of what the hell's happening here? Like, what could I have done better, right? And so I pulled myself a card from my own totally imperfect deck, and pulled the fullness card, which is about, my language expresses the fullness of life. And so how was I talking about myself in that moment and the situation? Was I expressing the fullness? Certainly was not. I was going down the rabbit hole of complete nonsense. And what I talked about when I had this realization on the video yesterday was that, if anybody sits there and tells you that they don't have these moments where they talk poorly to themselves, they're complete lying, because we all have something that bothers us, or something about ourselves or about our circumstances. So it really, like we talked about before the show, this spiritual journey isn't about arriving at some awakened magical place. It's about the continual journey, about spending less time in that waiting room of, poor me and all of that. What are some of your takeaways from her talk, Heather?
Just the fact that, again, I think this has been something that has been with so many of the episodes, especially in this past season, about the relationships that you surround yourself with, and who they've been able to, lean on, even in those nasty, dark moments, and still be able to, like, I know some of the people that, she was mentioning and that are commenting in the, in the thread and stuff like that. I know those people as well. And I can absolutely agree that the way you surround yourself with them uplifts you, and you uplift them. And it makes it so much different. And having faith, maybe if you don't have the faith right then, you have the people around you that can hold you up and help you with that. And I think that was one of the biggest takeaways, because again, it's being a theme in the past couple of episodes, and just this year, like the seasons alone, it's just who you surround yourself with, for sure. And especially with, the full moon today, and it's all about relationships, right?
Yeah. And I think when was it? A couple weeks ago, Prophet Calvin Witcher had posted something about, leaning on the other people. Like, if you don't feel like you are completely successful, but you have clients that are saying, hey, you're amazing at what you do, lean on what they're saying until you can feel it in yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. And so it does come back to that sort of that need that we have for supportive relationships. And so many people that, I said, my eyes are rolling now. So many people that have said, that this journey with ourselves is so important. It absolutely is. But I don't believe that we would have chosen a life as a human if we weren't meant to have relationships. That's part of this existence. What say you, relationship expert Lori?
Yeah, how we learn and grow is in our relationships, right? But so one of the things that she said that I really loved was, you can't change anything until you're calm. And I love that, because especially if we're talking about, well, we're talking about anything, but I was thinking about it obviously in terms of relationships. Like, how many times in our relationships do, like, we're all upset and we're pointing the finger outward. And once we can get calm and we can get centered, then we can start to make some changes, and we can make some changes where we can, which is with us, not with the outside world, not with the other people that we're in relationships with. I mean, sometimes we can affect those relationships by the way we're showing up, but we can't change them. The change has to come within us, and we can't make those changes within ourselves until we're calm and we're centered. And it was like almost like the little thing with your cards. It's like, when I found out about it, I was like, oh yes, so what? Like, it'll be fixed. It's no big deal. That thing that happens. But you couldn't see that right until you calmed down. And when you calmed down, you were like, oh, well, what's the solution? Well, it's an easy solution. You'll mail us the cards, and it was a pre-launch. But I think with anything in your life, whether it's something little like that, which I know didn't feel little at the moment, or whether it's something much, much bigger, we've got to get to that space of being calm. We can't change anything. Definitely not in the right direction, usually. I mean, you can make some changes, but usually they take you in the opposite direction when you're all upset. So I loved that she said that. For me, that was just a really good little golden nugget in the talk that hit me.
Yeah, I think that part was really beneficial for me to hear again too. The serenity prayer was something that my mom always had hanging up in our home, and despite anything that we ever went through in childhood, that's sort of the prayer that I would come back to very, very often, even more so than the Lord's Prayer or the prayer I would say before I go to bed. Like, it was just something that goes back to what I say very often, that's we always have a choice, of experiencing joy. Can we find the joy in this moment? Can we find the peace in this moment? Can we find the calm in this moment? And then when we do, that's when we can create change and move forward and do big things, I feel like. But I love what you're saying, Lori, that you can't make changes if you're all riled up and upset about things. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help anybody else in the situation, that's for sure. So I love every part of our conversation we've had on the show today. And I am so excited about all the new people that we have had watching the show today who've come to enjoy Liz's talk as well. And I just want to let you guys know, because Liz did mention it, that we are casting for season 3, which is starting in August. So it'll be August, September, October, November. So 4 months at the end of the year. If you're interested in being on the show, if you have a story that you want to share, all you have to do is send us a message, and I'm happy to get you over the link. I think both Heather and Lori are coming back to join us as panelists next season. And that announcement of who all will be panelists next season will be out soon. Because it may be switching up a little bit, but we'll see. But I want to give a quick thank you to everybody that I've seen. If I missed anybody, in this, I love you anyway, but I'm going to get who I've seen. We've had Bruiser, Pam, Gwen, Genevieve, Emma, Tina, and it was Tina that said what you said before. I'm sorry, I mixed that up. The comments were going too fast for me. So we had Tina, Emma, we had lots of people that's going too fast. Linda, Kara came on, Pam, Nadia, who am I missing? Siri, of course, was here. We've had Lou, Suzanne, Effie, Anne, Sandra. I'm missing a lot of people. Kathy. So thank you guys all, whether I got to say your name or not, for joining us today and for commenting below. Continue commenting as you'd like to if you join us on the replay as well, and we'll be happy to interact with you after the show. So next week, we have another new friend to the show. Aaron Fisher is his name. He resides in Canada, but he travels a lot from what I hear. The title of next week's show is Second First Breath, and we're going to talk about really kind of awakening to a new day when things kind of restart over for you. Our panelists next week are Siri and Tara, and we'll be excited to have them on the show. Wishing you guys a fantastic weekend. Happy birthday to my hubby, and also happy Easter weekend, Passover, lots of things, celebrations celebrations going on this weekend. Whatever you celebrate, enjoy it, and let us know if you have a breakthrough. So until next time, same place next Friday, 12 p.m. Central Time. Have a great weekend, everybody.